The 10 Rules. Alex, a soft-spoken ponytailed man of literary fiction tastes, has someone to introduce to me. I think you'll like this guy. He listens to podcasts while milking cows and reads at night. He plays music and sees things differently. Might even want to buy your book. Getting off the 31 bus at Housemannsgate, voices ask me something I don't comprehend. When I respond, one of two women in their late 20s informs me in grammatically correct yet slurred English that the hand of cards she holds will decide my destiny. I'm instructed to pick one. It's a 4 of diamonds with a lady wearing nothing but fishnet stockings, exposing herself while sucking on a finger. I raise my arms with flat hands to signify I don't understand their intention, and the women laugh. They direct the same question to a man walking behind me. Inside the bar, Alex introduces his friend, the librarian, who tells me he loves Eastern European novelists, Joseph Roth, Antal Serb, and Arthur Koestler. He gets himself a drink. Despite working full-time, I'm never tempted to shell out 100 kroner, approximately €10, for a pint of beer. Rounds are rarely bought in Oslo. Norwegians tend to be modest, and it's frowned upon to promote oneself. As an independent writer who went straight to printing, rather than meddling with the expense and bureaucracy of publishing, I'm left in an awkward position. Alex is aware of this and mentions the librarian read the 27-page poetic historical rant from my novel, Tenure as a Statistician. I enjoyed it, the librarian says. Some peculiar insights from that character. He states his bookshelves are constantly expanding. I have a few recently read novels with me and offer them to the pair, who both decline and reconfirm rejection when I say I don't want payment. Money's not a problem for me, the librarian points out. Alex says Tenure as a Statistician is one of the rawest reads of recent times and that his friend should buy it. The librarian squirms as he's taken outside his comfort zone and feels under pressure. I offer a discount. It's really quite okay, he says. I have to return to my condominium in St. Hanshaugen and go back to the farm in the morning. We leave. I've accumulated 300 books and must offload some for cash. Slightly west of Grunland and a stone's throw away from Brugata tram stop, a second-hand bookstore is well stocked with English titles. The proprietor drinks coffee while sitting in a barber chair. Hi, he says. Hi, son. I decide not to continue in broken Norwegian. English is always acceptable in business trade. Are you buying books, I say, tugging my suitcase behind. It depends what you've got. I have Jose Saramago, plenty of US books, some female authors. Look, he says, raising an upright palm. Let me see for myself and I'll tell you at the end. Okay, I say, stepping back. I merely wanted to discuss books, as I'm an avid literature lover. Just wait. As you wish. I struggle to hide my disappointment. The owner offers me 25 kroner per book and shows frustration when he sees small crimps on back covers and finds inscriptions inside. He buys 16 books and I take 400 kroner from him, spending 80 of that on Farewell Waltz, a Milan Kundera novel, and 25 kroner on a coffee from the shop's reading room. He relaxes and we converse for a couple of hours. I visit 2 to 3 times a week to write, never buying books, which average 120 kroner, but always taking coffee. The proprietor informs me he's going across the street for a kebab and asks if I'll watch over the shop. Any question I have, he answers. He fills the press and requests I let him know how many cups I drink before I leave. I convey that I'm a self-published author, and while I was told Norway is about networking, I face difficulty reaching people. Aren't there any writers in Oslo you can work with? He asks. Not Norwegians. Too closed. I was part of an expat writers group. It started off okay, but when Trump got elected and the hashtag #MeToo movement took off, it transformed. I initially showed support, but was judged on my gender, not on my work. We write to escape negative stereotyping, to avoid media scapegoating. It's an important issue, he said. I'm an actor, and there's a lot of sexual harassment in the theatre. Over 2 years in Oslo, I'd never heard a wolf whistle. Those few times I was out, in verbal debate, I'd watched as women squared up and men cowered in response. I keep this to myself. Did any particular event give you such resentment? I went on a writer's retreat. A giving soul opened her family hitta for 8 women and 3 men. Writing exercises were timetabled, but I couldn't focus. There were headsets, laptops, iPads, and smartphones, plus mid-exercise calls conducted with children. I retired to my room and read. Doesn't sound that bad. On the final night, we played a getting to know each other activity regarding incidents from our past. It began light. One woman brought up sex stories, and the others followed. I was told about outdoor escapades, bondage sessions, and a ménage à trois involving an escort. The middle-aged woman's competition resembled nervous girls coming together in university halls for the first time. I felt low. You shouldn't have. We're a gender-equal society. I'm not stimulated by these conversations, not at my age. So what happened? I went back to my room and told my roommate about the discussion. He said, I'm glad I wasn't there, and continued writing. And the third man's take? He returned to our sleeping quarters. That was cringy, I said. He suggested I not speak badly about our colleagues and made his bed. Maybe you're looking into it too much. Afterwards, I disagreed with a member who claimed 2018 would be the year of the woman. A CNN journalist's theory that if only women were published in 2018, it'd even out the gender imbalance for 2019. I asked where transgenders fit in and was hit with rebuttals that Oslo is a rape capital and that males in Hollywood had committed sex crimes in the 80s. I don't see why an opinion difference would be so upsetting. I asked the member if she would box all sons, brothers, and husbands as criminals and sentence punishment. The other 2 males at the table would neither back nor disagree with me. They avoided eye contact and looked down. I left. So that was the last straw? No, I wasn't thinking. My pregnant partner was ill in hospital. I'd injured my shoulder at work. I wanted support, not chastisement. I foolishly viewed the group head's Twitter page, which was filled with the vilification of men. I wrote to her asking how a responsible leader could do this. I can't imagine that went down well. It didn't. She emailed me to say I'd gone public with verbal abuse of a group member, by challenging her colleague's 2018 women-only publishing theory, and violated her personal freedom of speech by targeting her Twitter comments, declaring their tolerance clashed with my bullying. So I was banned. She signed off with, "I wish your partner a healthy pregnancy and safe labor." Maybe I know her. What's her name? Her name is Zip. The door opens and a customer enters, interrupting our conversation, so I return to my writing. Despite having a collection of LPs, the same two albums are always played: Mutations by Beck and Live from KCRW by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I respect these artists musically, but the repetition starts to grate. While the second owner is working, a jittery and less accessible individual, he smokes in his shop and leaves me alone. He also plays those same two albums. Coffee's raised to 30 kroner. I've spent money, discussed literature, watched the shop, and shared experiences. Now's the time. "Here's a copy of my book," I say to the first owner. "I don't have energy to read books." "Well, maybe you don't, but you mentioned an anthology coming out from the shop. Perhaps there's an excerpt you could use." "Okay, I'll look." "Great. I'm going away, so I'll be in touch soon." "No, just wait. It'll be me contacting you. I've got your details." No emails have been exchanged, nor 30 kroner coffees purchased. I haven't heard Beck or Nick Cave on vinyl for almost a year. Even though I rarely smoke, I occasionally have a couple of cigarettes at hand when on holiday. In the Lisbon sun, a man with hard, deep-lined skin, a pot-belly, and long hair sits smoking. "Got a light?" He gives me a lighter and I ignite my cigarette. The smoker tells me of his walking mission around Portugal. He lives in Hume, Norway, and for a number of years has escaped during the summer, opposing the much more common avoidance of winter. It was the abundance of noise and flashy cars, designer boats, and traffic jams which led him away. "Norway offers nothing," he says, "just a generous pension. I was a carpenter." In his 60 years, he had neither married nor had children. "There's too much money in Norway," he says. "Young people don't want to work. They don't want to use their hands. They don't even want to help each other." He goes on to say Norway lets in too many people, but that most come from nothing and can't be turned away. The Norwegian Postal Service, he claims, runs its office from the Czech Republic, screening and interviewing workers for salaries no Norwegian would accept. I relate my year and a half in Norway's construction industry. It's the 18th of May, which succeeds Norwegian Constitution Day, 17. Mai. He's relieved to be outside Norway, saying he had never fit in with the forced participation. On my first Constitution Day, we held a party in our apartment. Alexandra made salmon wraps, and guests brought assorted dishes. Drinks were served, and Norwegian flags of various sizes poked out of potted plants, vases, and windows. The NRK broadcast of the parade flickered on her television. The second, a week before the birth of our son Theo, had me dressed in a suit and tie, attending the school celebration of her young nephews. Yet on the third, the day before this conversation, I stayed inside and read my book. The Lambertseter marching band filed past our balcony, where I held Theo up so he could see and hear the horns. That was the extent of my festivity. Alexandra dressed him in a festdracht, and went to the city. Over a €2 litre of beer, the smoker sums up his position. The adventure of Thor Heyerdahl and Roald Amundsen has been replaced by oil wealth, Swedish-influenced political correctness. When everyone's rich and the state lets no one starve, empathy disappears and curiosity fades. That's what happened to Norway. He's one of few Norwegians I've encountered with the ability of cultural introspection. I offer him a copy of my book. I'll pay for it. How about €20? Really? Of course. I love reading, and how will you go forward if no one supports you?